What's up, everybody? This is Clark Schmidt here, pitcher for the New York Yankees, and you are listening to the Boys of 161st Street, the greatest Yankee podcast in the world. Thank you guys for tuning in.
All right, welcome back to the Boys of 161st Street, episode 102. We kind of hit the 100 milestone and then just couldn't celebrate because we didn't know which one was 100, so we're going to celebrate now. Episode 100, let's go. Thank you for following along if you have so far. This episode is another roll call episode about Deivi Garcia. We have a nickname to be decided later. We're becoming a big nickname pod. We realized there was a lot of nicknames that stink on the Yankees, so we're just going to do our own. Either way, that was a long intro. Let's get after it.
This is 161st Street, Yankee Stadium.
Swung on a hill there to deep center. Gets back, away back. She is gone.
All right, weighing in at 163 pounds, 175 centimeters, 73 kilograms, standing at 5'9" from, I'm going to butcher this, Banoa, Dominican Republic, born May 19th, 1999. 99. 21 and 293 days, it says. Deivi Garcia. Kind of wild. 1999. I didn't have any plans to talk about that, but when I read 1999, I think this is where it starts. We're not old. I'm turning 24 now. This is the point where players start to, I feel old now. He's not significantly younger, but he's there's a difference there. Is this the first player is this starting the feeling old as a sports fan? I've never felt this before until
I'll
right
tell you
this
when
fucking
it hit me.
second.
When it hit me was my, junior year of college. I was watching National Signing Day for football, and I was like, holy fuck. I'm getting excited about 17-year-old kids. This is sad. This is a sad moment for me. I'm sitting here cheering that this 17-year-old 6'8" behemoth is coming to Florida State. I was like, sweet. I was like, I don't have to worry about that for baseball for a couple years. And it kind of started with Glaber because he's a year older than me. I was like, oh shit, we're getting close. And this one kind of hit home, and now I'm sad for the rest of the night. So thank you.
I think that this is the first time where we get to actually call somebody a kid. For me, at least. This is the first player I've ever seen that I'm older than. That I've talked about on this podcast.
Yeah, we kind of said it as a joke before.
But now we get to, but before when we would say, this kid's amazing, it would be a kid that was older than us. Now, I could actually call him kid because I'm older than him.
By the way, welcome back, Kev, for those listening. Kev's back, and you got me, as always, and Chandler. Didn't do that intro. Very unprofessional, bad radio, but we did it, and it happened now. So, continue.
I was kind of waiting for it. I thought I was going to get this big, oh my God, Kevin's back.
I can pull up some kind of sound. What about?
I think that you're doing him a disservice.
That'll be your celebratory sound. I don't have one queued up, but I will have one next episode. So
appreciate it.
Deivi Garcia. Let's talk about him. So last year, last taste I have in my mouth, God, I can't speak right now, is when they did that opener switcheroo thing. And I hope they never do that again. And I still to this day don't understand why they did that. But basically what happened last time, to recap, and if you lived under a rock last year, he went one inning. We were all hyped. We were very excited because, number one, putting Deivi Garcia in that spot with not much experience at all, let alone playoff experience at the time, freshly 21 years old. Putting him in that spot, we were starting to convince ourselves, hey, okay, we could get lightning in a bottle with this guy. He isn't J-Hap. He isn't other players like Montgomery or whatever it may be. I'd rather take the upside of a guy like this. And that's what we convinced ourselves to think. We were excited about having him to start. And just when we were excited that he got the start, he goes one inning, then Hap comes in and just gave up a one-run dinger. And he's only faced 5 batters, 1 hit allowed, which was the home run, and 1 hit by a pitch. he was pitching fine. I mean, you give up 1 home run in 1 inning, like whatever. You're young, that you get the jitters, and you got the offense behind you to keep it going. I mean, regardless of all that, if he pitched a gem, the plan was to do this switcheroo thing, obviously. And what a great person to bring in after was J Hap. Good riddance, see you later. But I never want that to happen again, and I forgot about that until now, and now I'm reliving it, and it was horrible.
Yep.
Yeah, well said. I'm pretty excited about him. Like you said, that kind of left a bad taste in our mouth, and I think he just had his very first spring training start when we're recording this, like a day or two ago. And he didn't get shelled necessarily, but he gave up 2 solo home runs in 2 innings. And, like I said, our last 3 innings of him, all solo home runs. To me, it kind of feels like he last year was kind of susceptible to the home run. I don't know if that's right. I didn't have time to look anything up today. I've been working since 8 o'clock in the morning, but
Okay,
I'm assuming. I mean, I feel like that's something though that I watched with him kind of throughout 2020 was he'd give up a home run here or there, which isn't a big deal because I feel like they're all solo home runs, kind of like a Verlander situation. He has one of the highest like home runs per nine or
Garrett
did in
Cole,
2019. Too. Garrett Cole, but they're all solo home runs. So
because he doesn't let guys on.
Not a huge issue, but something to keep an eye out for. I got spring training, can't put a whole lot of weight into it, but just kind of something that caught my eye.
Yeah, I'm very undecided on him because obviously he has great stuff, but who knows how well he's going to perform the whole time. Do you guys still have me, or did you lose me?
Yeah, you're good.
No, you're here.
Okay. So yeah, it's hard, and especially coming into a rotation like ours, I do have 4 guys that I'd rather see in before him.
Really?
In our rotation, but
name the 4.
Yeah. Well, that's at full strength because I'm.
You're including Sevy?
I don't know, even now. Yeah, no, but even without Sevy, I think I'd rather Montgomery and Domingo than Deivi, and obviously Kluber, Talion, and Cole. So I have 5 guys I'd rather see than Deivi to start the season. But obviously, with a team like ours, a lot of players get hurt, so you never know when you're going to need them. I think he makes the roster for sure. But yeah, there's a lot of question marks.
Deivi could be. You're saying he's like the 4th in that you prefer to have in. He could easily. I don't know about in your mind. I understand where you're coming from in that. He's a big unknown, but a lot of the pitchers that we have are also big unknowns. Like who even knew about JMO before he came over here, but I think he has the potential to easily move quickly up that ladder. And I mean, maybe not that far up the ladder, but like the 3 or 4 spot, he could easily move there. I mean, I don't know. I mean, really, it doesn't matter. He's probably going to be the 5, but he's got the stuff to, in the future years, to be a solid 3 starter at least for the next couple of years. So I'm excited about that. And like you said about the spring training thing, I mean, most of you know that are listening right now, and we just want a little cautionary tale. Spring training doesn't really matter, and especially with pitchers. Do you think it's harder for pitchers or hitters coming into spring training? Like, I feel like with pitchers, they're a little more wild, but they've been throwing. Like, they haven't been facing live hitters, but I feel like it's harder to hit live pitching as a hitter. And like, first thing fresh into spring training, I feel like they're going to struggle more than the pitchers are. Like, the pitchers definitely have the advantage to start, right?
Yeah, so I listened to something a couple years ago. I think it was Paul LaDuca. You could fact check me if you want. Good luck finding it. But it was an interview with like Paul LaDuca a couple years ago. He was talking about as he got older coming into spring training and just how difficult it was for him just to kind of get, reacclimated to doing that stuff, hitting live pitching. He actually said in he wouldn't take an actual major league at bat for 2 or 3 weeks. And he would just go to the minor league complex with, the 19, 20-year-old kids that are throwing at that time 98, 99, which is, unheard of or very rare. And he would just go face those wild guys, see the balls come over his head, behind his back, all that shit, just so he could kind of get, the feel for major league pitching again. So, I don't know. That guy played 15 years in the majors. So, I think he kind of knows what he's talking about, and I think there's something to that. So I agree with that, coming in hitting is a little bit harder. Pitching, you got to readjust, throwing off a mound, finding the spot, throwing with batters in the box. But hitting, you can't replicate the timing of hitting major league pitching until you're in the box.
Yeah, for sure. I agree 100%. But to kind of touch on what you said, Riley, you think that he starts off in the 4 spot?
No, I think he's in the 5. I was just saying I kind of misspoke. I think he has a potential to be a 4 or 3 in years to come, but this year I think the goal for him right now, I'm Deivi Garcia. I'm trying to lock up the 5 spot, and I think he pretty much has that because
I disagree.
Who he's competing with.
I disagree too.
So let's get into the conversation because I think the only people he's really competing with, I feel like, is Domingo. To me, is that who you guys are talking about?
Yeah. And Domingo was lights out.
I get it. I just wanted to. I mean, obviously, we're going to get into the Domingo episode, and just bad guy things aside, we're talking straight baseball, and I think that's the way they're treating Domingo now, too. So it is whatever. He's on thin ice, and Voigt said that as well. It's not my place to judge him, but we'll talk about him more on his episode, which is actually...
Well, yeah, I mean, we could talk about his, individual stuff, but when it comes to, the rotation battle, you can't talk about Deivi without talking about Domingo because they're kind of hand in hand here. That is the 5 with Clark Schmidt going down. That is the battle for the 5 spot. It's those two, nobody else really. And right now, I think Domingo has the upper hand. He carried this team for a long part of 2019. And like I said, all the shitty stuff he did off the field aside, that's for them to judge, not me. But from a baseball standpoint, I get where they're coming from. He hasn't thrown in a little bit, but it doesn't look like he has a whole lot of rust. I mean, obviously spring training,
Tigers.
We can say it a million times, but at the end of the day, you don't have anything else to judge these guys off of going into the season.
You're right.
And based on and based off their major league pedigree, Domingo has the upper hand. I mean, Deivi was nice; he was really good, but Domingo carried this team for an entire summer while everybody was hurt.
So you're saying both of you are saying. You got Domingo penciled into the 5 spot opening day, not necessarily opening day, but if they were to write out name the starters for the first 5 games, you got Domingo as the 5?
As of today, March 8th, with them both being 1 game into spring training, I got Domingo. That could change.
That's my question. Do you think it matters?
If he gets shelled, I do. I think if,
do you think things,
for some reason,
if we see Deivi's pitching tomorrow, when we're recording this, it's March 8th. So on March 9th, you guys aren't getting this yet, but March 9th, he's pitching. Regardless of the 1 game, you're saying the rest of spring training from here on out, you think it's still very much up in the air? You think everything we see from here on out? Really?
Well, so I would agree with that. I think that's the best way to put it. Yeah.
Really? I thought
think about it.
I thought Deivi would be in that spot, honestly.
No, I think the only thing that could change it is if there's one drastic one way or the other. If Deivi comes out and once they start ramping up to 3-5 innings, if Deivi comes out and he's just shoving, not giving up hits, not giving up runs, and Domingo's kind of struggling, showing signs of rust, I think it becomes a conversation. But as of right now, I don't even think there's really much of a competition. I think it's Domingo's to lose, and like I said, we'll see what changes. Somebody, I'm sure, will get hurt or something along the way,
Hopefully
but
not.
I fucking hope not. But
it'll happen. Realistically, but just to sum up those two, they're gonna have enormous roles, but because people are gonna get hurt. I mean, we have a very injury-prone team. I mean, just starting pitching alone, half the current active starting rotation has injury history. So I don't know. I personally think Deivi should get the nod at the 5, at least to start. I mean, here's the thing with these two. If one is technically named the starter, the other one is right there on his ass, ready to take that job. So it's whoever wins this job, so to speak, to start the season, didn't really win it because the other guy's right there because it's that close, I think. And I don't know. Domingo looked good in spring training. Domingo, like you said, I think has more of a pedigree and he's been around the block. He's been a starter. He's been a reliever. The only reason I thought that he could be Deivi could be in the 5 spot is because of how Domingo has been out of the pen before and piggybacking the openers and stuff like that. I thought they could use him that way, and I think that he's had success in that role. I haven't looked up specifically his piggyback numbers. I don't know if those are a thing, if I could search those, but I think he's more versatile in that sense, and Deivi hasn't come out of the pen, and we have seen what young pitchers have done when they come out of the pen last year when Clark Schmidt was thrown into a fucking hellfire in his debut, no less. So I think in terms of overall production on the Yankees and what you can get out of these two, I think the Yankees as a whole would be better off if Deivi was more comfortable as a starter in the 5 spot, but they're both getting equal innings and Domingo's coming out of the pen. I think keeping them both as comfortable as possible, that's why I could see that happening. I agree with you guys that Domingo has, like, if it were a one-on-one battle, just like straight up on who we more likely see as the starter, I would pick Domingo. But I think in terms of, like I said, the overall usage of both of them and getting the best production out of, let's call it in a week's 14 innings, let's say they both go 7, I think those 14 innings are very much better spent if it was Domingo out of the pen and Deivi as a starter.
So something I'd like.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Kev. I don't want to interrupt you on your debut back.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I think that the reason that it's going to go to Domingo, at least to start, is because they're always hesitant with prospects. And, like, I know we've seen Deivi up before, but I think that when you have Domingo, who literally led our team in wins 2 seasons ago, and if they're willing to look past all the other stuff, I mean, they do in the long run. You win the game, that's what you're there to do. But I think that when you look at somebody like that, who
I can get a win with 20 runs behind me.
No, you can't.
Continue.
And you have Talion, who you're obviously going to go with. You have Montgomery, who's a lefty, so he's penciled in. We need him. And obviously Garrett Cole, we don't have to talk about. But I think until Sevy gets back, that job, they would rather it be Domingo just to keep Deivi before. I think with Deivi, it's going to be when we need him and he's really ready. That's when it's his job to take. And I just don't think he's ready yet. And I don't think that when you compare him to Domingo, it's like logical to give him the nod before Domingo.
I mean, when you say ready, like, so then what? We send him to the minors because he's not getting any work if he's just sitting around.
So something I kind of want to see, and I don't think it's totally out of the realm of possibility, is a 6-man rotation, especially with all the injury question marks. And they've kind of floated the idea. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's something that, why not?
Why not? Because we have Garrett Cole, and I want him to pitch every 4th day, not 6.
Okay, well, but you have Taillon and Kluber and Sevy coming back, who all haven't thrown in 2 years. They're going to need to be eased back in. You can't shove Taillon, who's coming off 2 Tommy Johns and cancer, out there every 5 days and expect him to be a Cy Young candidate. The dude's going to need rest naturally. He's going to be fucking tired.
You bring up a very interesting scenario here, Chandler. So you're saying there's a 6-man rotation, and then every time, let's say every 5th is Cole, and every time like the 2 spot or the 3 spot comes in, you give either Kluber or Taillon a rest or a Sevy a rest, and they skip a rotation or they move back one.
Yeah,
exactly.
I was going to say that.
It's a revolving door. So Cole goes every 5, and it's a revolving door of who's up next in the spots. They don't have a set day, like you're the 4th day, you're the 5th day. It's just like there's a revolving door, like a queue, after Cole goes his 5th day, and then everybody else can just follow suit wherever you want. Whoever's up is up. I like that.
That also depend on who's doing well at the time. So if it's like, if Kluber comes back and Kluber's pitching like Kluber, then it'll be Cole, Kluber, Taillon, Montgomery, Domingo, Cole, Kluber, Deivi, and then like work it like that. If you're trying to give those guys that extra rest, which I completely would be fine with. Though I was actually going to bring that up, Chandler, but I was going to say the only way that could work is if Cole still goes every 5th. And
and I'm fine with it.
Looks like they need rest. Yeah.
None of these guys, and I mean, Montgomery is 1.5 season removed from, Tommy John. I say half season because, the COVID season, whatever. So he pitched a 60-game season, periodically here and there. I don't think he threw a ton last year, but I mean, you got Montgomery, who a year removed from Tommy John, and then the rest of them, everybody in this rotation has injury question marks. It makes too much sense to me to have that guy in there. Deivi, who is fully healthy at the time, fingers knock on as much wood as you can find around you, to throw in there. Sorry, I just smacked my fucking table. But to throw in there, a fully healthy guy, give these guys a day off, give them a rest, or skip a start here and there. I think he's too valuable to put in the minors. but I don't know that I would pencil him into his own spot necessarily. Even if it's just skipping a start, like, hey, we're going to go through the rotation. It's the second month of the season. Tyone's a little fatigued. His elbow's not feeling. It's 98% instead of 100. Don't push him. You've got a guy that's capable. You can throw Deivi out there, and it's not like we're putting fucking Sessa. We know how I feel about him, or Loaizaga out there. You're putting a pretty capable guy who's pretty damn good out there. I still feel like we have a good chance to win, and you get to rest your guy, the guy you went and traded for.
You know what I wouldn't put past the Yankees, and what I kind of genuinely believe is going to happen is they're going to take 5 starters, and it's going to be the 5 without Deivi with Domingo, and then they're going to take the relievers, and they're going to take Nick Nelson, and then when they want to do a spot start or an opener, I think Deivi stays in the minors, gets reps, and then waits till somebody gets hurt.
I don't think Nick
when they want to do that spot
starter.
start. I think they're going to do it with him. I'm telling you, they do it with him, Sessa. They'll do a reliever game, like an opener.
Yeah,
and they'll start Nick Nelson.
Just Nick Nelson doesn't. They love Nick Nelson, but for whatever, he's got good stuff, but he doesn't scream he doesn't scream spot starter because he's got high velo. Like that's not to make a guy become a starter. Like that's a tall ask for a guy like Nick Nelson. I don't know.
Nelson's good, dude.
I know, dude. I'm not sleeping on Nick Nelson.
Okay, I was gonna say, dude, my boy that plays, like I said, the guy I've talked about him before.
Nick Nelson's your boy?
No. My friend Brandon.
Sick.
I went to his wedding a couple weeks
now,
ago.
Now, anything you tell me is a letdown for what you just said because Nick Nelson.
That's fine.
Can we become a big Nick Nelson pod?
Sure.
I don't think there's anybody that's like they've claimed Nick Nelson as theirs.
No,
Let's
but
do it.
my friend
Darren O'Day and Nick
was
Nelson
hitting against him in 2019. They were both in Major League camp, and he sent us, this text after practice. Like, I don't know if you guys have heard of Nick Nelson. This is in 2019, mind you. He's like, but he just pumped me like 98 at the letters, and then threw a changeup and made me look like an absolute fucking moron in front of the whole Yankees Major League staff. He's like, this is my first like live BP with the big league team, and I look like a fucking idiot. I don't know if you guys know Nick Nelson, but you need to look him up.
What position does your friend play?
Center field.
Is he still in the system?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He's like the 23rd or 24th ranked prospect.
So where's he at? Is he? I don't even remember. I don't even remember the They just added a new team in Boston now. So where are the?
Yeah, I don't.
Where are the teams?
Know. He was
what left? Trenton, or cause they can never get rid of Scranton.
They got rid of Trenton. They got rid of Trenton.
So Trenton is the one that bit the dust. Okay, so now Somerville. I think it's Somerville. That's where the new.
They got rid of Charleston too because I was really pissed. They got rid of it the year I fucking moved here. I was ready to go to some River Dogs games.
Back to Deivi. We just got off on a little bit of a side that we haven't talked about. This is a Deivi episode. I mean, it's all relevant. So
it's pitching.
It's pitching.
All
it's where he fits in.
When you do pitching, you compare to pitchers.
Yeah, it's where he fits in. And one thing we haven't really even talked about was do we think that the departure of his father, Eric Kratz, do you think that hurts him a little bit? You think, I don't know, like he was pitching well towards the back end because he was having catch with his dad before games. Like, I don't know, if I had to catch with my dad, I know actually before every game that I pitched back in the day, and I did throw cheese.
We know. Yeah, I've heard it many times. I think I've heard more about your pitching than
And what he doesn't mention is that I was probably a better pitcher than him.
That's just not true.
For another day.
That's not true. It's just not true.
I'd argue I was.
I mean, if we're talking wiffle ball, which is the only comparison we have, me versus you, Kev, I am the whiffler. But hey, that's neither here nor there. We're not going to get into this because we're not going to get anywhere on that. But I did pitch.
Do we have a roll call episode about you and your wiffle ball pitching?
We can do it. We can make it happen. We'll make it happen for the Patreons. Patreon.com/161 boys. Ad.
Yeah, we just lost an entire following.
It's all good.
Never mind. I'm not paying for that.
What I was saying was, what was I saying? I was saying when I was, now this is stupid because it's a whole build up for a dumb story, but I was having a catch with my dad every day before I started pitching. And when he had a catch with his dad, I'm sure he pitched well because I pitched out of my mind after I had that comfortability, having a catch with somebody I know and like. He's my father. It's all good. I think, does it affect him? You have to stop
calling him his dad. This is just ridiculous. He's not actually his father.
Yeah, but like he's a father figure. I don't know what Devi's
I think Eric Kratz is Eric Kratz is to the 2020 Yankees and Deivi Garcia as Todd Frazier was to the 2017 Yankees.
Which is a big deal.
Yeah,
Glad
'cause
you
he
made
did
that
this.
comparison, but I have a
No, but I'm saying that, like,
1
actually
second.
way smaller of a
Continue.
factor because he didn't even play. So
I
like,
will
Kratz
never
really
forget-
didn't matter.
Dude, Todd Frazier was fucking awesome. I'll never forget
Yeah.
Todd Frazier sliding into second or whatever in the wild card game with the thumbs down. It was
Yeah,
so
that was hype.
badass.
But like I'm saying, for Deivi, it was pretty much just a like momentum thing.
Is that
But
a Todd Frazier bobblehead?
It's a big
Yeah, it'll probably have
deal.
no effect on. No, it's not. He's not even compared. That was actually a bad
Oh my
comparison
God.
because Todd Frazier meant way more than that.
I
team.
love
Oh,
Todd.
yeah, he was
a
Chase
pretty good player.
Hedges.
I'm one of the bigger
Yeah.
Todd Frazier guys you can find.
No. I mean, you want to find the biggest Todd Frazier guy ever. My dad loves Todd Frazier like a son. And I'm pretty sure Todd Frazier's older than him at this point. He's like 75
Classic
and still playing.
Luke Rello, Deivi Garcia situation. Classic. That's going to be me versus Deivi later on in life. I'm a big Deivi guy. And you know what? I wasn't a big Deivi guy at first. I knew more about Clark Schmidt as he was coming up in the system. And then I think Deivi got caught wind and everybody was more hyped about Deivi over Clark, which is not necessarily the case all the time. I get the two mixed up because they're so neck and neck in the overall rankings and the Yankees rankings. So, I mean, Deivi is who we're talking about, not Clark now. But he's the number 3 prospect for the Yankees behind Jason Dominguez and Clark Schmidt. 83 overall on the top 100. So, I don't know. I'm just really excited about this kid. I mean, I didn't even read off his numbers. His numbers in the minors are pretty gross. He had 416 strikeouts in the minors, a 3.37 ERA in 293 innings pitched. So that's about like 1.5 seasons, I'll say. Because a 6 starter goes about 200 innings, and that's 293. So I wouldn't put him at the Garrett Cole level to like pump out innings. So if we're doing a little comparison here, he's cranking some serious strikeout numbers. Granted, it's the minors, but like it's got good stuff, and I could see what the hype is about.
There's
He has
one
good
thing I
stuff.
want to. Yeah, there's one thing I want to point out too before we
I like what you
wrap
do with
up
your hair.
Deivi or whatever. Thanks.
You figured it out.
I did. It was looking fucking horrible before that. I'm not gonna lie. I've kind of been playing with it the whole episode. But one thing I'd like to point out, I'm surprised at how well he did last year, honestly. And
Yeah.
like you, I was a Clark guy I still am. I think he's going to be an incredible, contributor to, if not the Yankees, some big league team for a long time. But Deivi, if I'm not mistaken, he struggled when they bumped him from like high A directly to triple A, and he was not that good. They did it in 2019. He started in 2020, and he wasn't. I guess the alt side team, whatever, but he wasn't very good in 2019 in triple A. And then he got on the taxi squad, whatever, and he rolled into Yankee Stadium and just something flipped for him. It was actually his command. He finally learned how to throw strikes, and I mean, it's fucking beautiful. So I think if he can keep that command rolling and kind of get rid of what plagued him in the minor leagues, dude's gonna be a stud. And
Yeah,
I would rather see him in the 5 spot than Domingo, but I mean, right now, you have to give it to the guy who, with a team like this, that you have World Series aspirations, you can't take a risk on a guy like that right now and immediately give him a spot. Even though I think he'll be better in the long run.
Yeah, and my final thought in regards to Deivi is this is kind of a Yankees trend. If you look back, we have Sevy, who was really good stuff, can't really control it, struggles a couple times in the big leagues, then turns out to be really good. And then Domingo was really good stuff, and then struggles sometimes in the big league, comes up at the right time, turns out to be good. Then you have what they thought was going to be the same thing with Loizaga, who has sometimes shown signs of improvement. I hate the guy, but that's a conversation for a different day. And then it seems like the same trend with Deivi, where Deivi definitely has the most potential expected out of all of them, like most hype coming in. I just feel like it's a rush thing. And I think if we look back to last year, if Domingo was not suspended, we would not have seen Deivi Garcia pitch once unless somebody was hurt. Because that would have been Domingo's role all season without question. And I think after seeing Domingo do well for an entire season plus, they're not. I don't think Deivi's going to make the roster.
Yeah, and I think the one thing I'll leave people with too is that, like you said, shit happens and shit's going to happen. So like the conversation we just had on who's a 5 may not really even be relevant in the grand scheme of things as to how many innings the pitcher gets. They both may get a ton of innings. So with that being said, Baseball Reference projected him to be 7-6 with 106 innings pitched and a 4.5 ERA. So my question to you guys, as we'll leave the audience with this, is over under 106 innings pitched for Deivi Garcia this year. It's a tough one. A nasty reliever, just for reference, Garrett Cole averages about 200 innings pitched the last couple of years. So 106, and this is obviously things like injuries could keep him on the sidelines, but like this is also a situation of like coach's decision. Is he gonna win that job? Is he gonna have the opportunity to get 106 innings? I'm going under. I'm gonna go over. Under. No,
I'm gonna go under.
Over is a fucking coin flip, but I would go over. I really think that I'm gonna stick with my guns and say that he's gonna be the 5 and the Domingo's out of the pen thing. But I could see it either way. I could see 106 on the dot. I think that's pretty good. Baseball Reference rarely has good projections, but I think I'll go with that. You guys are both under?
I'm going under. I don't think he's going to have a defined role when the season starts. And honestly, I don't want to be pessimistic going into the season, so maybe I'm biased, but I don't want to go into the season like, oh fuck, Taillon and Kluber are going to get hurt a month in. So
yeah,
until that happens, yeah.
I'm gonna assume decent health, and I don't think, like I said, I don't think he has a defined role. So because of that, I'm gonna go under. And if he hits over, I'm not upset by it. It's not a situation. Exactly. It's not a situation where it's like, if Talkman hits the over on innings, then I'm concerned because that means we have some serious injuries. If Deivi hits his over on innings, okay. I'm okay with it.
Couldn't agree more.
All right. That'll do it for us for this episode. As always, if you could leave us a 5-star rating on the app that you're on right now, hopefully. Spotify doesn't have a rating system. I don't know why, but if you're on Apple Podcasts, which I always do, give us a 5-star rating. If you want to write something, we'll shout you out on the next episode. Makes us really feel good. Makes Chandler's balls tingle. And honestly, if you give me a 5-star rating, if we're at like 205 right now. We're going to spring training on the 18th. If you give us 220 by the time I get on the plane to spring training, this offer has been up to you guys before. I will eat a baseball. So we'll live stream it to the patrons, I guess. Or we'll just do it to everybody.
What the fuck do you mean you're going to eat a baseball? Hold on.
That's a conversation for another time. But let's get to 220, and I guess we'll find out. So 220 5-star ratings helps us out a ton. Helps you guys out a ton because you guys will find out whether or not this is going to happen or not. So without further ado.
All the guys at 161st Street, I just have 2 words for you. See ya.